If you think North Korea is the strangest closed-off country in the world, Turkmenistan may make you think again. This is a place where black cars were once seen as bad luck, women may be banned from dyeing their hair, the internet is tightly controlled, and a book written by the national leader once appeared in public life as a symbol of power. Inside Turkmenistan is a world that feels almost cut off from everything else. A city covered in white marble, wide streets that often look empty, and people living on extremely low wages, while the state still displays golden statues and enormous monuments. Before we begin, please hit subscribe, like this video, and comment on the strangest thing you have ever heard about Turkmenistan. Because the most frightening thing in this country is not the fire crater that has been burning for more than 50 years in the desert. It is the way people here have to live every single day. Number 10. Turkmenistan, the most mysterious gas-rich desert land in Central Asia. Deep in the heart of Central Asia, Turkmenistan appears as a land that is both harsh and rich in resources. The country covers about 491,210 square kilometers. Yet most of its territory is covered by the dry Aralkum desert. This desert region takes up more than 80% of the country's surface, making it difficult for the population to spread out evenly, as in many other nations. Amid this hot and dry landscape, most people have to live around oases, areas with fresh water, and the lowlands near the Amu Darya River. This river plays an important role because it brings precious water for farming and daily life. As of 2026, Turkmenistan's population is estimated at about 7.5 to 7.7 million people, placing it among the less densely populated countries in the region. Turkmen people make up most of the population, at around 85%. The rest includes Uzbek people, Russians, and several other minority groups. The official language is Turkmen, while Russian is still used in communication and work. In terms of culture, more than 93% of the people follow Sunni Islam, creating a clear Central Asian identity connected to handmade carpets, the old nomadic way of life, and the famous Akal Teke horse breed. Beneath the dry sand lies a massive store of resources. Turkmenistan has the fourth largest natural gas reserves in the world, turning energy into the main pillar of its economy. The capital, Ashgabat, was built as a symbol of that wealth, with wide avenues, huge buildings, and the highest density of white marble-clad structures in the world. Even so, behind the dazzling appearance is a closed-off country. From its policy of permanent neutrality and a society that rarely opens to the outside world, to the burning Darvaza crater in the middle of the desert, Turkmenistan continues to make the world curious. This is a place where harsh nature, long-standing traditions, and isolation exist together in an unforgettable picture. Number 9. Turkmen women and the unbelievable bans in everyday life. In April 2022, Turkmenistan began enforcing what many people called a beauty ban. Within a short time, women across the country were banned from dyeing their hair. Eyelash extensions, fake nails, permanent eyebrow tattooing, lip fillers, breast augmentation, and even tight-fitting clothes were also treated as illegal. This was not just a rule written on paper. Police inspected beauty salons, and shop owners could be fined $285 and sentenced to 15 days in jail. Some places were forced to close permanently. In some regions, women's freedom of movement was restricted even more tightly. Women were not allowed to drive. In Balkan province, if a driver carried a woman in the front seat, even if she was his wife or daughter, he could be fined $2,000. After 8 p.m., drivers were banned from picking up female passengers. Women under 40 were also often forced off international flights for vague reasons, such as an unclear stamp, incorrectly printed documents, or because their children were still in Turkmenistan. Women who had no children had previously been denied passports in a systematic way. The state described it as a sacred duty to preserve the Turkmen nation. Even clothing was tightly controlled, although not every rule was clearly written on paper. Women were often expected to wear long traditional dresses, cover their heads with scarves, and avoid pants or short skirts in public. Female state employees had to sign a pledge saying they would not dye their hair, tattoo their eyebrows, use beauty services, or wear tight clothing. This pledge applied both at work and in private life. If they violated it, they could be fired immediately. By September and October 2024, the passport confiscation program continued to expand, covering government employees and citizens with unpaid bank loans. These rules may sound very strange, but for women in Turkmenistan, this is everyday life. And even more disturbing, this is only the beginning. Number 8. From white cars to bread. The strange rules of Turkmenistan. In Ashgabat, the color of a car is not just a personal preference. At one point, black cars were seen as bad luck, and many of them were towed away at night. To get their cars back, owners had to pay to have them repainted. From there, the capital of Turkmenistan gradually turned into a sea of white cars, because this had once been the leader's favorite color. But before him, the country was ruled by Saparmurat Niyazov, a man who introduced even more unbelievable bans. He banned ballet, opera, circuses, lip-syncing at concerts, beards on men under 70, long hair, gold teeth, movie theaters, and even foreign language schools. Dogs were also banned from the capital simply because he thought their smell was unpleasant. In everyday life, he also renamed the months, the days of the week, and even renamed bread after his mother. Even some craters on the moon were officially renamed. On roads where the leader might pass by, people were banned from opening windows, installing external air conditioners, or hanging laundry in front of their homes. When asked about dental health, he advised people to chew on bones because, in his view, no one had ever seen a dog go to the dentist. Music was also not free from control. Pre-recorded music was banned in public places, in cars, and on television. Every performance had to be live and approved in advance. His successor later continued by banning satellite dishes and air conditioners attached to the outside of buildings in Ashgabat, saying they made the city look ugly. He also signed a law that made it illegal to change a horse's name during its lifetime. By March 2004, Niyazov even declared infectious diseases such as AIDS, cholera, and plague illegal. The Ministry of Health was banned from recording AIDS as a cause of death, even when patients died inside state hospitals. In Turkmenistan, cars, dogs, beards, music, and even diseases can be banned. But there is one thing no regime can ever fully control: love. Let us pause for a moment before we continue. If you think stories like this deserve to be told more often, please support me by hitting subscribe. It does not take much time, but it helps this channel go much further. Every subscription is a signal that you want to see more journeys like this, places few people talk about, and lives few outsiders ever get to see. And I promise, we will keep trying to make every video better. Thank you, truly. Now let us return to the story. Number 7. When marriage is no longer a private matter. In Turkmenistan, marriage in Turkmenistan is rarely just a private matter between two people. In many families, the groom's side must pay the bride's family a bride price known as kalim. According to Central Asian media, around 90% of marriages since 2011 involved this payment. Kalim can be money, livestock, jewelry, fabric, electronics, or even a car. Under older beliefs, a girl who has never been married often has a higher bride price than a widow. What is frightening is that this control does not only come from the family. In Balkan province, local authorities once required high school girls to undergo medical examinations to verify their virginity, even when their parents did not agree. Human rights organizations and the World Health Organization condemned this practice because it has no scientific basis and violates human dignity. By 2026, Turkmenistan's freedom rating continued to decline because of new barriers to divorce, restrictions related to abortion, and tighter pressure on couples who show affection in public. A traditional Turkmen wedding can last for several days. The bride wears an embroidered floral headdress symbolizing purity, then moves in with the groom's family. Bride kidnapping has been criminalized, but the risk of young women being forced into marriage is still reported in some rural parts of Central Asia. Polygamy is illegal, and a bill to legalize it was rejected in 2007. Then, in June 2001, another decree appeared. Foreigners who wanted to marry Turkmen citizens had to pay the state $50,000. The official reason was to provide financial security for children if the marriage broke down. But this rule pushed many young women to try to leave the country through the border with Uzbekistan, so they could live with the person they loved. That tax was abolished in March 2005. Turkmenistan does not only control how people love and marry, the country also controls what they read, watch, and write on their phone screens. Number 6. Turkmenistan and the wall of internet censorship. Inside Turkmenistan, the internet is not simply a tool for connecting with the world. It is a space controlled almost completely. More than 122,000 websites are fully blocked. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, TikTok, Discord, Signal, and Telegram are almost impossible to access through normal methods. Even when people manage to connect, the average internet speed is only about half a megabit per second. According to global connectivity surveys, Turkmenistan ranks last among 224 assessed countries. A 5-gigabyte file can take almost an entire day to download, turning a normal action in many places into an exhausting wait. But the problem is not only slow speed. VPN use has been criminalized, and by 2026, transparency reports showed a disturbing reality. Some officials in the cybersecurity sector were accused of selling internet access to people at high prices, while still threatening or arresting those who tried to use independent connections. In other words, censorship is not only a tool of control. It can also become a source of profit. In early 2026, authorities in Balkan province even cut off home internet for families who repeatedly tried to bypass censorship. Service was only restored after users signed a written pledge promising they would not repeat the offense. Private messaging apps were partly banned so the government could monitor people more easily. Just one like or one comment in the wrong place could lead to arrest. For content creators inside the country, free space almost does not exist. They must follow state direction and repeat only one story. Turkmenistan is a happy, stable, and prosperous country. There, going online is not just a technical issue, it is a risk. But the more people are forced into silence, the more life behind their phone screens makes the world curious. Number 5. Turkmenistan's door to hell and white marble city. In the middle of the Aralkum Desert, about 260 kilometers north of Ashgabat, there is a giant fire crater that locals call the Door to Hell. The crater is about 70 meters wide, about 30 meters deep, and has been burning since 1971. The story behind it is not supernatural. When Soviet engineers were drilling for natural gas, they accidentally caused an underground cavern to collapse. To stop methane from leaking out, they set it on fire and believed it would burn out after a few weeks. But that flame has lasted for more than 5 decades. From 2022 to 2026, satellite data recorded that this crater was leaking about 1,300 kilograms of methane every hour. By 2026, scientists noticed that the flame had shrunk to only about 1/3 of its previous size, after Turkmenistan drilled additional wells nearby to capture the leaking gas. The door to hell, after 54 years of continuous burning, may slowly be fading away. Despite its strange and famous appearance, Turkmenistan allows only about 15,000 foreign visitors each year, and most of them are not tourists, but oil and gas specialists. Ashgabat, meanwhile, appears as a capital unlike anywhere else. In 2013, Guinness recognized it as the city with the highest density of white marble-clad buildings in the world, with 543 buildings covering about 4.5 million square meters of facade. On its wide avenues, the most striking thing is not the luxury, but the silence. You can pass through multi-lane roads and see almost no traffic at all. Its international airport, worth $2.3 billion, was designed for 14 million passengers a year, but it currently operates at only about 1/10 of that capacity. Behind that polished appearance, many residential areas were demolished to make room for marble. Some people were moved into small homes without enough windows, sometimes made from old containers. In summer, temperatures in Ashgabat can reach 47 degrees Celsius. Marble makes the city shine, but it cannot fully hide the emptiness inside. Number 4. Turkmenistan, when a book became a tool of control. In 2001, Turkmenistan's leader published the Ruhnama, meaning the Book of the Soul. At first, it was introduced as his work on history, morality, and philosophy. But then this book was elevated into an almost sacred symbol, appearing in schools, government offices, and examinations. To get a driver's license, people had to study a 16-hour course on the Ruhnama. Doctors had to swear an oath on the book. Teachers tested students with excerpts from it, and prisoners also had to pass a related test if they wanted to be released. The leader declared that anyone who read the Ruhnama 3 times would enter heaven. In some mosques, it was once placed beside the Quran, and places that refused could be destroyed. In 2005, the regime sent a copy of the Ruhnama into space on a Russian satellite, so it could orbit for 150 years. After his death, the book's influence slowly faded. By 2014, it had been removed from schools. Near the capital, he also built the Health Path, a 37-kilometer staircase running along the mountains. Every year, politicians and ministers were forced to climb it, while he watched from a helicopter and scolded the slowest ones. His titles were also deeply cult-like: the great leader of all Turkmen people and the prophet of God. His successor continued turning politics into a stage show. State television showed him lifting golden weights, teaching exercise to police officers, and recording a rap song with his grandson about the Caspian Sea. In 2013, he was filmed falling from his favorite horse, but the video was quickly removed. Behind these images was a much heavier reality. After the failed assassination attempt in 2002, dozens of officials and relatives were arrested. Many faced forced confessions and life sentences. Criticizing the government could be treated as treason. Every August, people once again paid the price with sweat in the cotton fields under a quota of 25 kilograms a day. Number 3. Turkmenistan, forced labor and grandiose symbols. From August to November every year, Turkmenistan enters the cotton harvest season. According to international organizations, many civil servants are forced to go into the fields to pick cotton or pay someone else to replace them. Anyone who refuses may lose their job. In 2023 and 2024, the people mobilized were not only farmers, but also doctors, lawyers, teachers, flight attendants, and even children. People who normally worked in hospitals, schools, or offices had to stand in the fields in heat above 40 degrees Celsius to complete a quota of 25 kilograms of cotton each day. What makes this even heavier is that women often face the greatest pressure. They make up the majority of the education and health sectors, but rarely have enough money to hire someone to work in their place. Although laws banning child labor still exist, minors were still recorded working in the fields in 2024. All of this happens in a major cotton-producing country. In July 2024, many urban service workers worked for 2 straight months without receiving wages. Their families had no income, but they still had to keep working. While ordinary people sweat in the cotton fields, the leadership honors horses and dogs, animals that even have their own holidays. For Turkmenistan, the Akal Teke horse is a long-standing symbol of national identity. But under its leaders, that symbol has become a display of power. The first leader once created a separate agency for horses and placed the image of his own horse on the national emblem, replacing cotton and wheat. His successor built a 6-meter-tall golden statue of a local shepherd dog breed, then wrote books and poems to praise it. In the capital, a 21-meter-tall golden statue showing the leader riding a horse was also erected. By law, owners are not allowed to change the name of a traditional horse while the animal is still alive. But behind those statues and strange holidays, Turkmenistan still has an even more striking political pattern. Supreme power is passed from father to son. Number 2. Turkmenistan. Father to son. Power and life on $60 a month. In 2022, Turkmenistan's previous leader announced that he was stepping down. His son was elected president with 73% of the vote, in an election widely seen as staged. This was considered the first father-to-son transfer of power in Central Asia since the time of the Khans. But only 11 months later, the father received the title of National Leader of the People, a position with even greater power than the president. In reality, the throne returned to his hands. Behind that succession story were politics and gas money. After the invasion of Ukraine in 2022, demand for natural gas rose sharply. The son began engaging with diplomats and building his own influence. Some sources suggested that the father feared his son might investigate the family's assets overseas. By 2018, officials were estimated to have accumulated $23 billion abroad, while about $2 billion from gas revenue was allegedly moved out each year. Even so, Turkmenistan did not see a coup or major protests. The security system controls society so tightly that even one like on the internet can put someone in danger. For ordinary people, the question is no longer who rules the country, but how to live on about $60 a month. On paper, the country looks like a middle-income nation, with gross domestic product per person above $10,000 a year. But according to the black market exchange rate, the real figure is closer to $1,800. In 2024, the minimum wage was equal to only about $60 a month. Unofficial unemployment is believed to be between 60 and 70%. Since 2015, food shortages have become increasingly severe. Many families spend most of their income just to buy food, while bread is rationed. Since 2000, more than 2 million people have left the country, nearly 1/3 of the population. If you were born there, would you leave or stay and try to change everything? Number 1. Why does the world know so little about Turkmenistan? The first reason the world knows so little about Turkmenistan is very simple. This country almost does not want to be seen. Since gaining independence, Turkmenistan has kept a strict policy of neutrality and stayed outside major security organizations. At the United Nations, its representatives rarely stand out. Each year, the country receives only about 15,000 foreigners, and most of them are not tourists. They are usually engineers or gas specialists working on official projects. But online Turkmenistan appears in a very different way. When people search for this country, they often find strange videos of the leader falling off a horse, rapping, or driving around the door to hell. Those images make the world laugh, then quickly scroll past. Few people look deeper into human rights reports, the cotton fields, media control, or the names of journalists who once disappeared. The country once ranked 167th out of 180 countries in global corruption. That is why its strange appearance can sometimes become an effective curtain. The remaining question is, what will happen next? The door to hell, the flame that has burned for 54 years, is now getting weaker. By 2025, scientists said the fire was only about 1/3 of its original size. Even something that seems permanent can change. Since the beginning of this century, more than 2 million people have left Turkmenistan. About 5 million people who remain still depend on gas revenue from sales to China. If the global energy market shifts, the regime's finances could begin to shake. Outside the country, independent media, exile radio stations, and civil society groups continue to record the reality inside. Turkmenistan once passed through the Russian Empire, survived the Soviet Union, and its people still continue to endure in order to survive. The biggest question is whether the world will truly start paying attention or not. Turkmenistan is not only a story about strange rules, white marble buildings, or a fire crater burning in the desert for more than 50 years. Behind all of that is the life of people who have had to learn how to stay silent, adapt, and survive in a country almost cut off from the rest of the world. From the scorching cotton fields to the wide but empty streets of the capital, Turkmenistan reveals an unforgettable truth. Sometimes the place that looks the most dazzling is also the place hiding the heaviest stories. If this video gave you something to think about, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. If you were born in a place like this, would you stay and try to change everything, or find a way to leave?